Today we're going to be using one of the hottest archetypes recently, which is Adamant Stellar Chien-Pao with a lot of really good physical attackers. This might not seem like a very original idea, but with the specific 6 Pokemon we're going to be using today, this actually is a pretty damning team, and it does put up a lot of different pressure into the current format. And while there have been a lot of different variations, the variation that I'm using today was actually sent to me by my good pal Faye, so I'm hoping to get to show it off and do some decent work. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like on the video and subscribe for more. And with that said, let's start off with the star of the show being none other than our Adamant Stellar Tera Focus Chien-Pao. With the Stellar Tera, we should be leaning into heavy damage from moves like Icicle Crash, of course, and Sucker Punch and Sacred Sword, getting us a nice stab boost for all of these, with 2 times for both Sucker Punch and Icicle Crash, and a nice 1.2 boost for the Sacred Sword, which while it's not exactly stab, it's still a lot better. Overall, this is going to be a really good wall breaker, and with the max speed, we can at least tie other Adamant Chien-Pao, as there's not really a hugely relevant speed creep otherwise. And with the Adamant Nature, again, we just deal as much damage as possible, since the Stellar sets are meant to just be dealing damage here. This is a great enabler for our next pick as well, with the Urshifu-Rapid, which is going to be able to outpace other Chien-Pao and non-booster speed Fluttermane, with a really terrifying Terra Steel typing to help with just taking hits better from moves like Moonblast, and to not die to Thunderclap necessarily either from Raging Bolt. Well, I don't know exactly what the calcs to do. Unfortunately, with the page that I did get this team from, which I'm going to link down below in case anyone does understand what the Google Translate is doing, or if they could just translate it better than I can, it does look like I can kind of pick up on this being meant for certain offensive leads like Tornadus and Landorus, but again, I'm not 100% sure on the calcs there overall, but it is a really damning Pokemon overall. And the bulk is still really helpful. This is a really terrifying offensive piece here that, looking at offensive tailwind options, it does look like it can at least roll from generally offensive Tornadus. And if they're not like max special attack, this should be a guarantee survive here. Even still, you can obviously again Terra Steel around it, and Landorus would have to also dual target into you going for Earth Power or Sandsphere Storm, which means that they have to predict your Terra. And again, they would still have to focus a turn on dual targeting you instead of going for Tailwind. I mean, you can get a very safe turn by going for like a Surge Strikes into Landorus while you maybe go for like an Icicle Crash into Tauren. And if they don't go for the 2 attacks, you're safe there. And even if they go for the 2 attacks, you attack before them. So there's a lot of nice options that this lead does provide overall, and they really should not be able to kill you in any one given hit. Up next, we're going to go with Raging Bolt with a nice Thunderclap, Protect, Dragon Pulse, and Calm Mind spread. With this spread overall, this is a pretty decent offensive win con. Again, similarly with the Raging Bolt here, I'm not really too sure specifically what the defensive calcs are for, but I do know that this is a very terrifying win con, and it can put up a lot of different pressure into most opponents. Thanks to the fact that we do have the Calm Mind spread, we don't really need to rely on Sun to get our Protosynthesis boost, and we're not as susceptible to proccing the Protosynthesis and switching, which is great because the team does rely a lot on pivoting. With Calm Mind as well, we can boost our special defense, which is going to be great once we go for Terra Fairy, since it is such a good SpDef typing, matching up really well in a Pokemon like Fluttermane now, which we would not do previously, and we get a nice immunity to Raging Bolt Dragon type moves as well. This overall should be a really good Pokemon for the team, and I do think it will give us a lot of value. Though not having a reliable electric move that is able to be consistently clicked is a little bit concerning. At the same time, though, we have a lot of different options for bulky waters, and I'm not as concerned as I would be on other archetypes with it, so I think that this will still be fine. Up next, we're going to have a Safety Goggles and Incineroar with Parting Shot, Fake Out, Knockoff, and Flare Blitz with the Terra Ghost. Terra Ghost is going to be great for allowing my Incineroar, if need be, to get around other Fake Out users, which will be incredibly valuable. Safety Goggles will also be very useful for getting around things like Amoonguss and other Spore users, or even just Rage Powder Pokemon, Sleep Powder, or Lilligant, I guess, if we're fighting a Sun team. I don't know, there's a lot of different scenarios this could be useful. Parting Shot will be great to cycle into Pokemon like Urshifu, Raging Bolt, and our next couple picks as well. Really, it's just a great Pokemon, and the speed is going to be great just for general Incineroar speed creeps. The 36, it's a nice safe speed investment. The SpDef looks like it's just meant to be leaning into SpDef because of a stat bump, I believe. I think it's a stat bump. Yeah, this is a stat bump number, with the rest going to Fizz-Def with 4 remaining into attack. Up next, we're going to go with a Terrifier Assault Vest Rillaboom with U-Turn, Woodhammer, Fake Out, and Grassy Glide. The 36 attack is a nice stat bump here, with the 12 investment here. I know it says 14 on your screen, but it's practically 12, being just for generally creeping 4 investment Rillabooms or other Pokemon at the 85-ish mark. With the rest of our investment, we're going to go with 204 into Special Defense with a max HP, and then throw in a remaining 4 into Fizz-Def, which should just hopefully help with making this a very specially defensive Pokemon. This is going to be one of our best options into leads like Chiyu Fluttermane and other really good special defensive Pokemon. There's not a lot that really wants to break Rillaboom on the special attacking cores once it goes for Terra Fire outside of maybe Landorus, but you can still use this as a nice safety net, because if you can proc the Terra on the Landorus turn, instead of taking a ton of damage from Sludge Bomb, you'll now actually be a neutral target, and while you'll still probably be 3 KO'd by it, you can at least kill it with Woodhammer or Grassy Glide before it can actually take you out. Finally in the team, we do have our own Landorus. This has proven to be a very terrifying partner with Raging Bolt, and it's one of those Pokemon that you can kind of just slap on a team right now because it's just high damage. With Earth Power and Sludge Bomb, you hit pretty much all the format reliably, And with the substitute, you can do a nice job at just stalling through targets, since Landorus is just a really good Pokemon at just dealing damage. And if you can buy yourself a turn, you can get through things like Trick Room, you can get through things like Tailwind, or even Protect as well. Maybe stall out an opponent through Terrain. There's really a lot you could do here. And especially stalling out an opponent through Terrain could be very valuable. With our investment here, we have a nice substitute number with the 84 HP. I'm not really sure what the Phys Def is for overall, and I'm assuming that the special attack is really just to secure offensive KOs. But again, unfortunately, I don't have the exact investment. I do know that at the very least, Landorus does not need a lot of investment to deal serious damage to teams, and it is overall an incredible wall breaker that is very hard to take out. And overall, with this Tera Poison typing, this helps a lot with boosting Sludge Bomb damage, which is great in a lot of different grass types right now. And if you want to try the team out yourselves, I'm going to have the rental code on screen here, as well as with the team itself in the description below if you want to try it at home. And with that said, let's get into today's matches. All right, we're here on the Battle Stadium ladder. We're going to be trying out this team. This is the first team in a while, actually, that I've not built myself, which feels very akin to, like, older content that I did, like, pre-DLC, where I'd pretty much exclusively use other people's teams. That won't necessarily be the case always, but this was a cool enough concept that I got sent by my good pal Faye. I'll link the post with it. I don't have the person's like Twitter, unfortunately, but I'm just going to link the direct post that I got the team from for anyone who might want to try it at home. We're taking on what looks kind of like it was meant to be a Regulation A team if we had both DLCs. Should be interesting. I'm a huge Sunflora fan, so honestly, I fuck with the team, and I think it has some merit. Sunflora is just a decent mon, especially if they're Terra Ground, because Solar Power with Terra Ground, it's great at revenging off a lot of good Pokemon right now. So we will need to be careful. Their Trick Room setter, thankfully, though, it's either Whimsicott or Spiritomb. I can bully both of them with a really aggressive lead. Most likely, that's going to be Urshifu-Pao. I think Urshifu-Pao is probably my best response for that. I'll bring Bolt in the back because it does at least match up pretty well against a lot of these offensively. I won't act like it's the best Pokemon here, but it is decent with like a Landorus in the back. I don't really need Rillaboom or Incineroar here. Incineroar's not bad as like a Torkoal Sponge, but Raging Bolt will just be a better one. And while Rillaboom with priority isn't the worst idea for like revenging off certain threats, I think overall I don't really want to boost the multiple grass types in this team, especially Sunflora, when that somehow, besides Torkoal, is like the best Pokemon here for this matchup. Should say a lot, but I mean realistically the team's probably going to bank off like Decorate, Alcremie shenanigans. Yeah, they're going with Torkoal and Spiritomb lead, perfect. Yeah, I can just go right into that Spiritomb. Now the Sun will be a little bit annoying, but it's not the worst in the world. I can definitely use that to my advantage, to be fair. And I don't really mind letting that Torkoal get off a strong hit immediately, because the bigger threat being my Urshifu will be fine. I'm going to go for Stellar Tera just to make sure that I can hit the Spiritomb for as much damage as possible here. If Spiritomb goes for Protect, I'm not too concerned. If Spiritomb goes for Defensive Tera, not too concerned that they're burning it, because my POW will actually be so much more valuable offensively that I'm kind of okay with that. So we're going to pop the Stellar Tera on POW turn 1. Wish I didn't have to, but with this specific lead I kind of do, because I can't get my damage from Urshifu mostly because of the Sun being up. It'll still be a very hard-hitting Pokemon, but as you can see here, I'm not doing the most damage. Though, if this is like a Citrus Berry set, that might work well in my favor. Either way though, the Stellar Crash should deal a ton of damage to Spiritomb, and I'm going to hope that I can take it out. The animation looks so cool with the Stellar Hat for that, by the way. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize it would have like the Ice Pop as the crystals breaking. That's so cool. Okay, well, they're going to go for Overheat here. Overheat is actually very fine. I'm very okay with that. I'll probably switch out my Urshifu hard into my Raging Bolt most likely, because I can't really imagine a world where I'm going to want to keep Urshifu in the field at the time being locked into Surging Strikes when there's a lot of grass types here. And also the Torkoal got Sun up and it's going to switch anyway. I can't imagine that they'll bring in Torkoal. My guess is that we'll see both of the other Pokemon right now, which is very fine for me. I will probably just click Protect and then swap into Raging Bolt, as it does give me a free turn to scout for whatever offensive Tera my opponent will probably go for, which is most likely Terra Ground. They're going to go for Sunflora. Okay. So dual Grass Core. Honestly, I'm kind of okay with this. We're going to swap here, and I'm going to go right into Raging Bolt. And then I'm going to go for a Protect here on my Chien-Pao. Next turn, I'm going to probably just click Crash on one of these Pokemon, but I don't really have a reason to go for it yet, as I kind of want to see what they're going to do, and I'd rather play defensively for a single turn. They could definitely go for Dazzling Gleam. I will say, if Sunflora does go for Dazzling Gleam, or even if the Arbolive, I think they both get it. Yeah, they both do get it, because I remember I ran that as my Roaring Moon grass type for Trick Room before I realized that Sunflora was really good. But yeah, so they both could go for Gleam, to be fair. I'm kind of fine if they do. If I have to take pressure on Raging Bull, I have to take pressure, but I don't think it will kill. Well, actually, that's a lie. If Sunflora is Chlorophyll, well, if it's Chlorophyll, yeah, it definitely will not kill. But if it's Solar Power, which I'm anticipating it will be, that could actually be kind of bad. They're going to go for Gleam here. That's perfect. Not the best turn, obviously, because I'm going to have to take some serious damage on the Raging Bolt. That's definitely Solar Power for sure. And then what's our belief going to go for? Growth. Okay, Growth is scary. Because now this Pokemon is going to get a Sharp Attack and Special Attack boost. That could actually be pretty damning. There are Solar Power and some Flora. That's perfectly fine. I'm just going to go for... I do kind of need to think about this, because ideally, I think I'm going to go for a Protect here immediately just to get up some recovery. And then I think I'm going to go for the... Let me double check a Calc, actually, because I'm kind of fine letting this go down if it means I can get at least some respectable damage. We're just Max Attack out of it. Okay, that's perfectly fine. That's why I'm... So shoutouts to Owen, by the way. I'm gonna hopefully mention that in the team builder as well. But Owen actually helped me with recreating the team, so... Shoutouts to Owen. I'll link his stuff down below. I don't think he's like anticipating that I'm gonna shout him out, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can Sucker Punch into the Sunflower. That'll guarantee kill. And I don't need to really mess around with like accuracy for Icicle Crash. I'm gonna lose my POW anyway, so I'm kind of fine proccing this Stellar here, just to burn the dark. And then yeah, perfect. Okay, so that Sunflower is dead. Even if it was max HP, it was dead. It was a guaranteed kill because Sucker did like 97 min. Arbeliva will get off a really strong hit here, to be fair. Oh, they're going to go for Weather Ball. Okay, Weather Ball is terrifying, actually. That is a very terrifying move for this Pokemon to have. But not to worry, I can still play around it. What I think my play is going to be is I'm going to actually go for a Close Combat into that, as well as a Thunderclap, I think. I think Thunderclap plus, Thunderclap plus Close Combat should be really safe into that. Because that accounts for any sort of option like Terra Fairy here, for example, which could be a very viable click for that Pokemon, to be fair. If I'm going for like let's say Landorus, for example, can't get as safe of a click with that response because Terra Fairy could actually potentially just not get clicked due to the fact that my opponent might assume I'll overpredict. But Close Combat plus Thunderclap should eviscerate this, so I think that's a pretty good option for me, as it should take out Arbeliva pretty confidently. If they go for like a Terra Fairy, that's fine. Thunderclap with a Protosynthesis boost is not going to be friendly for that Pokemon, and I think it can just overwhelm. Gleam will do a lot, to be fair, to both of these, and it could, if Arbeliva does survive, it could put me in a bad position. I'm assuming, though, they are Terra Fairy and not Terra Fire. If they're Terra Fire, yeah, I mean, at least I'm getting 2 neutral hits off. So they're going to be Terra Fire, actually. Okay, Terra Fire is actually probably the better outcome, to be honest. Well, I can't get the free Surging Strikes off, to be fair. Close Combat will still be some very serious damage, and Thunderclap will hit very well as well. Yeah, okay, that does, like, just under half. This is a fairly Spidef Pokemon. Just barely lifts the fucking hell. Okay, that's not the best. That's not the best. And this is probably going to go for Gleam this turn. I can't imagine it will not. We do see the item ends up being a berry. This is probably Harvest Citrus Berry, if I had to guess, because we didn't see any sort of Grassy Surge Pop. Yep, it looks like... Oh, they're going for Weather Ball. I'm actually okay with that. I'm very okay with that. This is a resist. I'll take it. I probably won't take it well. Oh, no. Okay, I died. Oh, right, I forgot. This is +2. I was thinking it was +1 for some reason. No, it's +2. Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. Torkoal's going to go for Solar Beam. Oh, fuck. Okay, that's not good. That's not good at all. Okay, let's see. So my last Pokemon's Landorus. Landorus actually should be kind of fine here, because I can confidently saw a Sun and then go for like a Sandsear, and then as long as let's see. So they're gonna go for Harvest, okay, and they're harvesting their Figgy Berry. At least it doesn't pop immediately. Yeah, I can actually guarantee stall out their team, thankfully, because the Torkoal's offensive moves are like Solar Power and Overheat. I can actually make this work. We're gonna go for a Protect turn 1. Protect is mostly just to try and hopefully get the Arbeliva out of a favorable position here, and maybe burn something like Protect on their end. If they go for Protect, I am just gonna attack it on the following turn. If they don't go for Protect, I'm gonna go for Substitute, as I want to make sure that Pokemon can just drop. They're gonna go for Strength Sap. Okay, so the Strength Sap, Growth, Weather Ball. They probably do not have Protect. I cannot imagine they're Mono Fire. And the Torkoal has Solar Beam, Overheat, Yawn. Okay. Yawn is fine. I might actually need to target the... No, I can actually get around not targeting the Torkoal. Perfect. Okay. So I am going to proceed to go for a Substitute here. If their play is to try and go for like Strength Tap and Yawn, I actually get a very free Substitute off. They might be banking on like a Sandsear miss, which is why they made that play, which if it is, then that's actually pretty fair. They are going to go for Strength Tap. Okay, perfect. If they're going to go for Yawn as well, I can actually just Earth Power for free on the following turn. What I will probably do is go into the Arbeliva, because Torkoal might still have Protect. It could be like Protect, Solar Power, Solar Beam, Overheat, and Yawn. I'm assuming it's Helping Hand or like Heat Wave is the last move. I'm not too sure though. I don't really want to mess around and find out. It could even be Fissure in all honesty, but regardless, my very free play is to attack Arboliva, as that is the Pokemon that will likely not have Protect. It doesn't seem like either Pokemon went for Protect though, which works out well for me. Landorus will be able to pick that off very confidently with another Earth Power on the following turn. But definitely was closer than it had to be fair. Like if they got a really good Protect turn there, and maybe let's say they were Mono Fire for some reason, that could have been bad. If any team was to run a Mono Fire on their Arboliva, I guess it would be this one, because they have the Sunflora in the back at least. But again, I don't think that Mono Fire with Weather Ball as a move is probably the play. Either way, this works out well. My play... So let me actually just double check that technically, like, Spidef Torkoal can't take on the hit. I'm confident this is extremely overkill versus Spidef Torkoal, but okay, yeah, this is guaranteed kill. Perfect. I just had to verify. Literally, unless they're Shuck a Berry, but they're -2 anyway, so I don't really have to worry. I just wanted to make sure that, like, Torkoal couldn't get in my way with, like, an overheat crit or anything, because, I mean, that Pokemon is kind of terrifying, and, I mean, single target overheat, like, it's a pretty strong hit, especially with a critical hit. Like, that actually would guarantee... Never mind, that actually doesn't kill. What the fuck? No, never mind, I hit Protect. Yeah, a crit overheat would guarantee kill if they're, like, offensive Torkoal, so I just wanted to make sure I had my outs covered. Regardless, though, we get a solid win in game number 1. It was a lot closer than it had to be, though, but we got a solid win regardless. We'll see you guys in our second match of the day. All right, for our second team of the day, and depending on how long it goes our last, I'm not too sure. The last game was really fucking long, but we're taking on a Tauren Chiyu Fluttermane team, which is honestly pretty cool. We haven't seen a lot of these in a while. Chiyu feels like it's kind of fallen off. I still think it has a lot of merit, but it's not being used a lot. But okay, this is pretty cool. I fuck with it. In terms of my lead here, so we needed a lead that's going to be really good into most likely Tauren Fluttermane or Tauren Urshifu. I feel confident in Raging Bolt being a part of that project. The question is what do I want my other Pokemon to be? I think it probably has to be Rillaboom. Despite the not great matchup into Tornadus, I could probably actually Thunderclap that slot and then use my Rillaboom as a nice piece into whatever the partner is with a move that will most likely be Woodhammer with like a defensive Tera on Bolt if it's Fluttermane, and if it's Urshifu, then just a Thunderclap into Tauren. I could also, like, there's a lot of ways that I could actually make that work. I know Tauren will probably go for Tailwind, which is fine, but I'm concerned with keeping Rillaboom alive. I think that my third Mon will probably be Chien-Pao. I think it is a good endgame piece here. And then my final Pokemon, it could be Landorus, Incineroar, or Urshifu here. I think, honestly, all three have merit. For the sake of the fact, though, that their physical offense is just Incineroar and Urshifu, I do feel confident with Landorus being my last Mon here. I'm not as big on Urshifu. While it does do really good into specifically a Fluttermane Chiyu lead, at the same time, though, it's not great into any other combination of Pokemon, besides Fluttermane and Chiyu being on the field at the same time. And even still, I have to not burn my Tera for that to be a favorable matchup, so I would rather not do that. If they go with Fluttermane Chiyu lead, I will say it's probably the worst outcome that I could be having here, and it will cause a little bit of issues. But to be fair, with Terrafire, Rillaboom, and like a good Protect turn, I could still get around that anyway, so I'm not as concerned with it. It'll just be a little bit gray. They're going to go with Fluttermane Chiyu. Okay, so my play is to Terrafire on Rillaboom turn 1. Unless if they go for... Actually, no matter what, it's to go for Terrafire on turn 1. And then to just go for a Woodhammer right into Fluttermane. Immediately into Fluttermane. I should definitely... They're going to go for Booster here. That's fine. They're going to be Special Attack or Speed. Okay, they're going to be Speed. That's actually very fine. I'm very okay with this. We are going to go for a Protect here. And I'm going to go for Terrafire and go for Woodhammer. That Chiyu is most likely choiced. If I had to guess, it is probably a Scarf Chiyu. So we can get a good vibe on like if it's going to go for a Snarl set, if it's going to go for Dark Pulse, just immediately predicting Tera. If it's going to go for Heat Wave, which is, in my opinion, the most likely click here. It's probably Heat Wave or maybe even Overheat. They'll probably click the Fire move, though, if I had to guess, plus Dazzling Gleam, as it's a pretty safe click for them, to be fair. Dazzling Gleam next to Chiyu, even with the Special Attack booster, will do a ton of damage. And then the Heat Wave will be great for at least wearing Rillaboom into range. Grassy Glide will probably be survivable if they are going for a booster speed set, as they're probably low offense. But even still, with Tera Fairy, they're probably going to do enough to us. No, they're not going to tear either Pokemon. Okay, yeah, because we're a very slow Rillaboom. We only have 12 actual points of investment. It says 14 here, to be fair. We only have 12 points of investment in our speed, so we're underpacing both these Pokemon guaranteed. And the fact that our Tera went first, they're not tearing either, which is huge for us, actually. They're not going to go for Protect on either of these Pokemon either, which means that I did make the correct play here. They are going to go for Icy Wind. I'm very fine with this because my Rillaboom doesn't care about the speed, and Raging Bolt is safe. To be fair, I mean, I guess I could have potentially kept Raging Bolt as more of an offensive piece here, went for a Thunderclap into Chiyu, yada yada yada. Not the worst thing in the world, though. I'm just more concerned, frankly, with the fact that I can survive the turn. That's more important to me. Rillaboom, thankfully, does end up making a really good Tera here. and we're going to massacre this Flutter Mane. There's no way in hell it takes the hit. So we've already cleared through one of my opponent's most important and strongest offensive pieces here. And on top of that as well, the Chi-Yu is not in a great position either, because Chi-Yu now has to deal with the fact that I could honestly just go for like a U-turn plus a Thunderclap here and pick it off very cleanly. I could probably even maybe go for like a Grassy Glide plus Thunderclap, but I don't really want to get too ahead of myself. It depends on whatever their next Pokemon is for what my play will be. They're going to go into Urshifu, and it's going to be Urshifu single. This is actually not too bad. I think that my play is actually to just go for Thunderclap and the Grassy Glide right into their Urshifu. I'm assuming that they'll probably go for like a Wicked Blow into one of my Pokemon. This play gets me the best outcome into that Pokemon because, well, they could Tera Dark. Tera Dark doesn't really matter. Tera Poison would be like the worst defensive Tera for me that they would probably have they can go for, because that would potentially put me in a bad position with Glide. Thankfully, though, they do not go for it, nor do they go for Detect, which was another option I was a little concerned with. Since the Chi-Yu was definitely a choice Pokemon, I feel confident in Specs actually after seeing that Icy Wind turn, but it's not dealing enough damage to my team. No, it's not. Okay. I wonder if this is Sash then. I mean, either way, they've actually played that Chi-Yu really horribly, because I feel like the Overheat was never the click there. I feel like it was always Dark Pulse into either Pokemon, as it was always the better option. It can get them flinch turns. It also just hits better into both of these. But who am I? Who am I to judge? I mean, even a Snarl would have been better, but Overheat feels very weird. It feels like they were predicting a swap here that I probably should not have been making. They're going to go into Incineroar. Either way, Incineroar is fine. Thankfully, they did not go for Amoonguss, so this actually works out very well for me. My play is always to go for Calm Mind, actually, and just set up for my win con, and then to go for a U-turn here, and just to try and break Chi-Yu Sash if it has a Focus Sash. They're going to cancel. Okay, perfect. We'll get one more game in for you guys. This is a pretty short one, so we'll see you guys in game number 3. Alright, for our final game of the day, we're actually taking on a very interesting team. Well, I say interesting because it's not a lot of Pokemon you see often, but a lot of these Pokemon are actually making comebacks. Like, for example, Hisui Lilligant is actually doing pretty well as like a nice Sun measure right now, though it's not really common. Gallade is another Pokemon doing really good on Seismim now. Not super common though. So I'm actually really intrigued for this particular matchup. Because we are taking on Seismim, my backline always has to consist of Rillaboom. It's just a safety pick here. Thankfully, their Psychic type abuser here is Gallade, and they have no Iron Crown or Arm Rouge, which actually makes this a much better matchup, though Indeedee is still pretty terrifying. The combination of Indeedee, Gallade, Torkoal, and Ursaluna could actually be a very threatening Tricker mode for us. And while I do have outs to it, it's not the prettiest matchup. My lead should probably always consist of most likely the Chien-Pao and the Urshifu here. It does give me like the cleanest solution to their team. I could actually, wait, hold on, no. My play is actually to go for Rillaboom, because Rillaboom can go for a pretty confident Wood Hammer, and it's also great for Sleep Powder turns, since they'll never go for Sleep Powder into that spot, and even if they go with Sun, I could probably just go for like a Fake Out into Torkoal. That could work, actually, that could work pretty well. Okay, so my next Pokemon should probably, oh fuck, I'm like 10 seconds. I definitely want the Landers for sure, and I feel like that my last pick is probably gonna be, it's gonna be Raging Bolt. I'm not really huge in the Incineroar of this game. It's not bad. Tera could actually maybe work against like Gallade, for example, or like the Ursaluna as a pivot. But it's not a Pokemon I feel very confident in here. It's not terrible, but just I can't see myself like guts pivoting. Especially when that Gallade probably is Clear Amulet. And the best thing Incineroar gets me this game is either Fake Out turns if Indeedee doesn't come, which it will come against this team. And it gets me the potential for scouting for Clear Amulet on Gallade, I guess, versus like Assault Vest. It's probably not Assault Vest, it's probably Clear Amulet. I just realized I also led with the Rillaboom, which I did not want to do. So, not the greatest start here, I can't lie. But to be fair, Rillaboom does still get up some pretty decent offensive pressure. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but again, I literally told myself I did not want to lead Rillaboom for this situation. Could be worse, honestly could be worse. I could still get a pretty free U-turn here, to be fair. They are going to most likely go for Trick Room on the Gallade here, which there's not a lot I could do about that. But it's still kind of fine. I'm just going to dual target Indeedee with U-turn and the Icicle Crash. I can at least pick off the threat for the support Pokemon. They're going to enable the Torkoal pretty well, but I can actually kind of use that to my advantage and bring Raging Bolt immediately. And then just start going for things like Thunderclap to really pressure that slot very quickly. Because if I switch out Pow into Rillaboom afterwards, even if I have to let Rillaboom go down, I can still get the terrain advantage. And even if it's just for one turn, that's a pretty big deal because I stop the highest point for overheat eruption damage, and even that alone is just a pretty big win for us. So I'm gonna take that. We'll go for Crash here though, and Crash plus U-turn should confidently take out Indeedee. Holy shit, that actually took very well. Okay, perfect. I was a little concerned after seeing how little damage Crash did, but I'll take it. I'll take it. This works out very well for us. We've now cleared through their in DD, which is good because I can get the terrain advantage up guaranteed on the following turn. They are going to probably go for Trick Room with Gallade. That's really the only reason I can imagine that hit went so slow for Gallade. Because it's a base 80 Pokemon. Like, it has decent speed. They could just be 0 speed, to be fair. Oh, no, they're going to go for Psychic Cut. Okay. Holy shit, that did a lot of damage, but thankfully they did not get Trick Room up. That's really huge because it makes their team actually so much weaker to mine because they don't have the speed advantage anymore. Let's see. So from here, I could probably honestly just go for Tera and go for like an Ice Spinner. Well, not Ice Spinner, Icicle Crash. Or I could even just swap Chien-Pao out because they're not going to go for a Psychic move into it and go into Rillaboom, which will get a very free turn, most likely. Really, unless if they're going to go into Torkoal, I think it might actually be my play. If they go to Torkoal, I do kind of have to just dual target the Gallade before it can get off an attack. We know at the very least my Rillaboom is faster. I got to double check on... Okay, they're going to Torkoal. How fast is my Raging Bolt? Raging Bolt, let's see. So, Raging Bolt is definitely slower. If they're not minus speed Gallade, I definitely don't underpace. Let me double check Gallade damage here really quickly. Let's see. So, Gallade versus Chien-Pao. Let's see. For some reason, my sets aren't coming up. I'm not sure why they're not. Let's see. Okay. Chien-Pao. What the fuck? Why is this not coming up? Okay. There we go. Okay, perfect. Thank God. All right. Gallade. All right. So, the Icicle Crash actually should guarantee kill even without Tera, which is good. I'm just going to go for the Icicle Crash then. Just... Oh, shit. We're going to go for Icicle Crash into this. And then I'm going to go for a Dragon Pulse into the Torkoal. And just claim my kill. Killing the Gallade is a pretty big deal for us, as Gallade is a pretty big nuisance to my team. They're going to go for Tera on Gallade. Please don't be like a Steel. It's Fire. Fuck. Okay, Fire is not great for us. It should allow them a good turn here. I can still definitely overcome this Pokemon, but I can't lie, it's a little bit more grim. I can flinch it, to be fair. If my Raging Bolt outpaces, this is still a good turn for us. Dragon Pulse is going to go off, actually. Okay. So it does outpace, which is really huge. That means the Torkoal is now significantly less threatening. They are going to go for Trick Room too. So all of this actually works out pretty well for us. I can Sucker Punch on the next turn into Gallade guarantee and pick it off. And I can then just go into Rillaboom and fake out into the Torkoal spot just to guarantee that turn lands. I can do a lot here. Like, I really can do a lot here. So at least the Raging Bolt got the attack off because it went for Trick Room. If Raging Bolt died, I would actually, like, without getting the chip on Torkoal, I'd actually be a lot more concerned here. So this is still very winnable, actually. Because they've lost their second terrain, Rillaboom can put up a lot of dangerous pressure because with Gallade having burned its Tera already, I still have mine available too, which means I can make Rillaboom into a nice defensive piece if for some reason this turn doesn't go great. So their Tera Fire, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, we know that Tera Fire still does a lot of damage. Like this guarantee kills. This absolutely guarantee kills. And no matter what they go for any sort of defensive play, it's not going to be a great turn for them. Because if they're going to go for like a status move, like a Wide Guard, for example, or like a Trick Room again, it only benefits me. Because it just means that I can attack again on the following turn and I'm fine. Torkoal will probably go for Protect. I could definitely see Torkoal going for Protect here. And again, I'm kind of fine with that. Because I still have my defensive Tera Fire on my Rillaboom. And they've lost their Psychic Terrain boosting the Gallade, which is really the only way that Pokemon keeps up with Power Creep. So I'm kind of fine. It'll still deal a ton of damage, but it's not nearly as much as it could be doing. Fake Out's going to go off. That's perfect. That means I didn't click Sucker Punch here. Sucker Punch is going to pick off the Gallade. That's perfect because it's one less Pokemon that can get off damage this turn. And I'm kind of in a great position right now. I can confidently just Sucker Punch that Torkoal in the following turn. And even if they go for a moveset like Yawn on this turn, I'm not really too scared of it because at best Yawn just stalls through their Trick Room with a very passive play for them. And meanwhile, they're not killing my Rillaboom, which is great because Rillaboom is probably my win con now. Rillaboom Pow honestly will just deal so much damage to them. I'm not really too worried here. They're going to go into Ursaluna. That's perfect. Yeah, my play is always just to go for the... It's always just to go for the Sucker Punch and Torkoal, pick that off. Because then I don't need to make myself weak to the Ursaluna. So that works out very well for me. I'm not going to Grassy Glide it though, because even Grassy Glide with the Pow will do less than Wood Hammer without the Pow. So I'm not really too concerned, and the recoil is not really that scary either. Also, there's a good chance that I just click Protect here, and I'm kind of fine just not really caring what I click into that Pokemon, if I'm going to be honest. So, pretty okay overall at this point. They're going to probably click Protect on Torkoal, and probably take out my Chien-Pao at this point, which, so be it. No, they're not going to Protect Torkoal. Okay, well that works out very well for me. I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket though, so I figured again this is the best play. They didn't click Protector on Ursaluna either, which is pretty terrifying. Like, for them, I guess. Like why would they let the Ursaluna just take so much damage from a Woodhammer right now? I have more grassy terrain up that they cannot stall through as easily. They don't have the Flame Orb. And yeah, they just lose that Pokemon for like no reason. We get a crit. Crit, I'm sure that mattered in the grand scheme of like killing. I don't know if I killed that Pokemon. Do I actually? I'm kind of curious. I know like the video is over at this point. I'm kind of curious. Never mind. Rillaboom actually nearly guarantees a KO. In fact, okay, so the crit probably didn't matter actually. That's still fine. Realistically, even with the Flame Orb, Facade at best, yeah. So Facade probably did get actually no, it like guaranteed no KO unless they weren't max attack. But I still had Landorus in the back. And, like there was no other attack that would have killed. So it was actually pretty fine. All right. Well, perfect. We went 3-0. It's the first time we've done that in a while. Funny enough, the scariest game was the Sunflora team. So for any Sunflora haters that are still in my comments, you should use Sunflora. It's a great Pokemon. It's unironically pretty terrifying, and yeah, you should use it on your teams. Hopefully you guys enjoyed though, and if you did and you want to see more content like this, like and subscribe. I'm bulking up some content, so hopefully we will have more consistent content coming to you guys very soon. I'm looking forward to getting back to recording a bit. I don't want to promise daily content though. I mentioned this in yesterday's video. I don't want to promise daily content until I have like a significant backlog, because it's just gonna be a very hectic next couple months. So hopefully you guys enjoy. If you want to become a channel member, we have a bonus video that I am going to be pulling at 3:30 today, and I will leave that poll up for 48 hours before recording it. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. The bonus content should be pretty good, and yeah, if you're a channel member, you get that, plus some nice emotes for when we do our streams. We have a tournament that's also going to be going up. I will promote that instead of a poll on Sunday. So feel free to check out the signups for that if you want to sign up, or just click the links down below. But I'll do like a dedicated channel post for it tomorrow. So if you guys want to sign up for that, it's going to be a nice Wi-Fi tournament on Friday at 6 p.m. And I would look forward to seeing you guys playing. I will be streaming my run myself. So again, it's a great chance to use those emotes if you're a channel member. Our current members though are Zeke, Mia, Razakura, Obo, Endless Gadgets, Joshua K, Ultra Player, and Incog M. Thank you guys so much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. And I will see you guys in the next video. Not necessarily tomorrow's video, but probably tomorrow's video. The next video though, whenever it goes up. Until then, peace out guys.